Welcome, everyone. Today, we're diving into how to say where you live in Spanish. We'll be focusing on the verb vivir, which means to live, and the question word dónde, meaning where. Plus, we'll go over some handy vocabulary like ciudad city, casa house, and país country. Let's kick things off with the basics of asking and answering where someone lives before building on that. Hola to-dos and welcome back. Let's quickly jog our memories. We've already learned
Leggere,
to read,
suonare,
to play an instrument,
cucinare,
to cook,
sport,
sport,
viaggiare,
to travel, and family words like
madre,
mother,
padre,
father, and
fratello.
brother. Great job remembering. Today, we'll build upon these words and start putting them into sentences.
Mi piace leggere libri. Mi piace leggere libri.
Suono la chitarra. Suono la chitarra.
Hola, vivo en Nueva York. Hola, vivo en Nueva York.
Did you catch that? Emily said,
Hola, vivo en Nueva York.
which translates to hi there. I live in New York. The key phrase is vivo and meaning I live in. This is how you'll tell someone where you reside. Remember, vivir is a regular verb, so the conjugation is simple. Listen to the pronunciation of vivir. The V sounds just like in English, and make sure you pronounce those vowels clearly, as we talked about earlier.
¿Y tú dónde vives? ¿Y tú dónde vives?
James just asked,
¿Y tú, dónde vives?
which means and you, where do you live? Pay attention to how the word order is different. In Spanish, dónde comes before vives. Don't forget that upside-down question mark at the start. It's really important for Spanish grammar. Also, practice pronouncing dónde, remembering the silent H.
Vivo en una casa pequeña. Vivo en una casa pequeña.
Emily said,
Vivo en una casa pequeña.
meaning I live in a small house. She used vivo and followed by una casa pequeña. Pequeña means small. You can also use other adjectives like grand, big, bonita, pretty, or moderna, modern to describe your home. Just remember that in Spanish, adjectives usually come after the noun.
Yo vivo en el centro de la ciudad. Yo vivo en el centro de la ciudad.
James said,
Yo vivo en el centro de la ciudad.
meaning I live in the city center. Look at how el is used as the masculine definite article, just like the in English. Remember, ciudad is feminine, so it can also be la ciudad. Centro means center. You can also use expressions like cerca de near or lejos to far from when you talk about locations.
Mi país es muy bonito. Mi país es muy bonito.
Emily said,
Mi país es muy bonito.
meaning my country is very beautiful. She used my país, which means my country. Bonito means beautiful. When discussing your country, you can describe it with adjectives like grand, big, pequeño, small, hermoso, beautiful, or interesante, interesting. Don't forget to match the gender of the adjectives.
¿De dónde es tu familia? ¿De dónde es tu familia?
James asked,
¿De dónde es tu familia?
meaning where is your family from? Notice that he used is instead of viven here. We're asking where they come from, not where they live now. A common mistake is to say viven in this context. Keep in mind to review how the present tense works for ser and estar later.
Mi familia es de España. Mi familia es de España.
Emily replied,
Mi familia es de España.
meaning my family is from Spain. Is to translates to is from. This structure is really helpful when talking about where someone is from. Make sure to conjugate ser properly based on who you're talking about. A common mistake is forgetting to use is here.
Yo soy de Argentina. Yo soy de Argentina.
James said,
Yo soy de Argentina.
meaning I am from Argentina. Here, the verb ser is key. Soy is the first person singular form of ser. Using vivir in this case would be a mistake. Remember that we use ser to express origin, so soy translates directly to I am from.
¿Dónde vive tu madre? ¿Dónde vive tu madre?
Emily is confidently asking,
¿Dónde vive tu madre?
meaning where does your mom live? Great job. She correctly switched the subject and verb to form a question. This shows you've got the hang of it. The word matter means mother, a term we've covered before and can now use in real conversations.
Mi madre vive cerca de la playa. Mi madre vive cerca de la playa.
Yo vivo en Madrid. Yo vivo en Madrid.
Today, we'll explore prepositions of location, words like n, a, and to that tell us where something is in relation to something else. Understanding these is crucial for providing more detailed descriptions. It's not just where something is, but how it's positioned, like inside, on, or near.
El libro está en la mesa. El libro está en la mesa.
The preposition
En.
is incredibly versatile. It primarily means in or on, but context is key. It's often used for enclosed spaces, like a room or a bag, and la balsa, or surfaces like a table and la mesa. It can also imply at for certain locations, such as
En la estación.
at the station.
Mi gato está en la caja. Mi gato está en la caja.
Now, let's look at
Ar.
While often translating to, it's also used to indicate location, especially when referring to a city or town. For instance,
Voy a Madrid.
means I'm going to Madrid, but it also implies location. It's important to distinguish it from its to usage. You'll hear it frequently when discussing destinations.
Voy a Barcelona mañana. Voy a Barcelona mañana.
Finally, let's consider
De.
this preposition primarily means of or from. It's frequently used to indicate origin or possession.
Soy de Nueva York.
Signifies I'm from New York. Similarly,
El coche de Juan.
means Juan's car. Its usage denotes belonging or origin.
Soy de México. Soy de México.
Often, you'll use prepositions together to provide even more detail. For example,
El museo está cerca de la estación y enfrente de la plaza.
means the museum is near the station and across from the square. Understanding these combinations lets you paint a clearer picture with your words.
La tienda está cerca del parque. La tienda está cerca del parque.
Today we're tackling a tricky topic, the difference between
Ser.
and.
Estar.
Both mean to be, but they're used in different situations.
Ser.
Describes permanent or inherent qualities, origin, identity, characteristics.
Estar.
Describes temporary states or locations. It's crucial to understand this distinction to speak accurately.
¿De dónde eres tú? ¿De dónde eres tú?
Let's break down Anna's example.
¿De dónde eres tú?
She's using
Ser.
because she's asking about origin, where you're from. It's a defining characteristic, not a temporary state. Notice the question format with the verb.
Ser.
First, a common mistake is to use
Estar.
here, stick to,
Ser.
for origins, professions, and inherent traits. Pronounce the R in ers as a rolled R sound.
Estoy muy cansado hoy. Estoy muy cansado hoy.
Let's practice. Try describing the location of objects in your room using
En. Ar.
en.
Der.
Can you say, for instance, the book is on the table or I'm going to the kitchen? The more you use them, the more natural they'll become. James replied,
Mi madre vive cerca de la playa.
meaning my mom lives near the beach. Remember that cerca translates to near. We also learned lejos to far from. Using these descriptive adverbs really helps your Spanish sound more fluid and detailed. Let's recap. Today, we learned how to ask and answer where do you live. In Spanish, we covered the verb vivir, the question word dónde, and key vocab like ciudad, casa, and país. Don't forget to practice using Vivo and forming questions by switching the subject and verb. It's also important to avoid common mistakes, like using vivir when you need to use ser. Now it's your turn to practice. Try telling someone where you live in Spanish. You can also ask others where they live. Buena suerte. Good luck. Looking forward to seeing you in the next lesson. All right, everyone. Fantastic work today. We've covered a lot. We learned how to ask and answer questions about where people live, so important for everyday conversations. Now, let's do a quick recap with a few questions to make sure everything has stuck. Okay, first question. What was the main topic of this lesson? Was it
Saludos.
Greetings, stating where you live, talking about your family, or ordering food? The correct answer is stating where you live. That's exactly what we practiced. Next up, what is the function of the word?
¿Dónde?
In Spanish, is it to describe something, express emotion, ask where, or say thank you? And the answer is to ask where. It's your go-to word for finding out locations. Final quiz question: how does the word order change when forming a question in Spanish? Does the subject stay in the same place? Does the verb typically come before the subject? Does the adjective come before the noun? Or does the object go at the beginning? The correct answer is the verb typically comes before the subject. A common change to easily form questions.
Provate a ripetere le frasi con me. Poi descrivete dove abitate a un amico. Provate a ripetere le frasi con me. Poi descrivete dove abitate a un amico.